build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to your Tuesday morning shop bangers. I'm Matty.
Good morning, I'm Colin.
Good afternoon, if you're listening. I'm John.
But are you suggesting, John, that we took so long with the introduction there? It started in the morning and then tipped over. I wonder if somebody's gone. Like, imagine somebody had just with a book to go for their lunch. They popped their iPods into their ears. They've gone, right, that's nearly 12 o'clock. I'll just fucking start this, listen to it on my lunch break. And they've gone 11:59. They've heard me say good morning, say Colin, say good morning. It's just flicked over to 12, just coincidentally, and you've gone good afternoon. And they're going, how the fuck did they ken?
I was just covering our bases. I was thinking, like, I think it was in the previous episode when we were going through it. I was thinking of the Truman Show. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. So, whenever you're listening, hi, I'm John.
The oft quoted on here Truman Show. I think that may be the first time we've done it. Right. Guinness 2022, first question of this week's episode. Topic is predictive nostalgia. Today we view retro items such as vinyl records, VW Beetles, etc. as cool. With the advent of ChatGPT, or New John, would we be able to forecast what items from the 2020s might be cool in 2040?
That's funny, because see, in the last one there, when we were talking about the comedies that have aged, I was thinking, I wonder what we watch now that we think's good, that in 20 years' time you go, holy shit. I was just thinking it's something similar.
Ted Lasso. We're following that. Ted Lasso's quite, I liked it, but I think if you watch that in 10 years' time, you'll be going,
I watch it even now thinking,
Yeah.
Like, I did like it, and I watched it all, and I watched it for the start, but I even now, I think, I don't even think you'll get 10 years for that until you go, oh, it's shite. I'm not even a vinyl. I don't think vinyl's cool.
I think it is. Like, I'm not a collector of that, but there is something cool about vinyl. There is.
Why?
I don't know. It just looks smart.
There was something like, so obviously we all grew up during the era of vinyl and saw the transition saw cassettes and then the transition to CDs and now like pretty much digital only music. There was something quite, I don't know what it was. Like for me in vinyl, it was like that little crackle that you heard for the needle as it first went on. But it's interesting because when I think about one of the things that I thought about with vinyl was like record collections. And I suppose latterly it was more like CD collections, but no one collected Volkswagen Beetles. So I can kind of understand why one was cool, but the VW Beetle, was it just because Volkswagen decided, we'll just chuck some out and folk will buy them, it'll be fine?
I don't know. Herbie made it cool, didn't it? Like
I was just going to say it's because Herbie, wasn't it?
And then I think...
but was Herbie not like a 50s or 60s film?
No, well, maybe the 60s, 70s, like it would have been, maybe even tipping in the 80s, John. I'm covering all bases here, by the way. So listening.
Possibly the 90s.
Did I think it made it to the 90s unless
they
sort of just remade it? But I think the Beetle was quite like is of a time. It's like the Mini. Do you know what I mean? And obviously they brought the Mini back.
But what do you think it was about the Beetle and the Mini that made them sort of iconic, that made the manufacturers decide, you know what, we're going to bring them back because that will sell? Like, how do those vehicles capture the public imagination that it is cool to have?
Probably the Mini back and didn't even make it look as kind of made it bigger, eh? Like the Mini used to be tiny, remember? Like Mini, but now it's bigger and chunkier and bulkier. It's not the same, eh?
I think it was just like your cultural references, like stuff like the Italian Job did it for the Minis, Herbie for the Beetle.
So is following that thread then, does that mean that cars that are making it into films now in the 2020s will be the ones that we see in 2040?
Aye, so there'll definitely be some that will make a...
Ford Capri must be due to come back, yeah.
Aye, I saw a Ford Capri the other day. Something driving a bit on.
I bet it's that then.
Aye, it didn't look great, if I've got to be honest. It did. You know what? I saw it and it was like pulled up alongside it and it looked uncomfortable. I just thought there's nothing about that that looked like it was going to be fun to drive. it just looked like it'd be fucking a load of hassle. And I was
Well,
like,
if it's still an old one, if it's still one of
Aye.
the originals, it's got to have no suspension, like no power steering.
It'll be like Trigger's broom, won't it? Do you know what I mean? Like I've had this broom for 20 years and replaced the handle and the fucking broom head and everything. So,
is there any cars that you would like from grown up till now that you would like if you had the money, like, and you wanted to indulge in a bit of nostalgia? Is there any cars that from the past that you would go back and buy so you could drive today, regardless of whether you had to like do a bit of maintenance or like make it drivable or whatever?
Oh, mind you, had the Cosworths, like the Escort Cosworths, and was it the Sierra Cosworth as well? They had the big whale fin on it. They looked like they were good fun. You've got like your classic ones, like kind of like post 911s and things like that.
Well, I was just going to say that because I worked with a boy when I was doing in Bristol, and he had one. He only brought it out on special occasions. It was like one of these that sat in the garage under wraps. And he brought it into work because it was his birthday, and he brought it in, and it was fucking. It just looked tremendous. Kind of, it was like old style, kind of like the old style 911. I probably sent a photo into one of the chats, Matthew, that you were. Because I was getting my mate who works for Porsche to say how much would that be worth in one of the chats. So I something like that. That would be nice. I'm not really that bothered about cars. I've had plenty of cars, but I never get attached to cars. You know, folk get attached to a brand of a car or a certain type of car or their car. And it's that folk, it's usually women. I call it. I get a fucking name in that.
Oh, I call all my cars Dave.
I know.
It's just a silly thing now.
I just call my car. I just call my car, and I just drive it, and I've got no emotional attachment to it. When it's 3 years are up or whatever, it's away again. And you know what I mean? I don't. But folk do get like so because I don't get that attachment. I guess I'm looking back thinking, give me a wee broom Fiesta back, the first one I had when I was 17.
Aye. Okay. What else? What other things do we use that would be cool? So maybe like your AirPods and things like that. Kind of like everybody had them and they were trendy, so they'll get superseded by something.
We'll get the ones. Mind the ones used to go with the Walkman, the over the head ones.
Aye,
and had
they'll
the
come back.
Padded headphones.
Their Walkmans are making a comeback now as well. They're like one of the things that are considered cool, like a cassette player.
Off. Like with the big orange, like spongy.
That's what I was meaning.
I think we got my daughter one for Christmas. She also got a record player as well, funnily enough.
So are cassettes making a comeback as well then? Like you can still buy cassettes and get your music on them?
I don't know. I would guess so. Gordon Smart, he's co-owner of a business called Vinyl Box, and they sort of curate vinyl for you and send it's like a subscription service where you pay X amount a month and then they send some kind of cool albums to you. I thought it was kind of like a good idea. It's definitely like Jess has got a few albums now.
It's like fucking Britannia Music, is it not? Where you used to sign up and get fucking 3 albums.
It is. I suppose it is. But I like the idea of getting something like, say, like definitely maybe or OK Computer or something like on vinyl and just having it because they look fucking cool. They think the sound is good. Well, some folks say they sound better. CD sounds better than an album. I was like a vinyl, I would say. But folk will say that's called my Philistine or whatever for it.
So snobbery involved with all this.
No, I was going to say there's an element of snobbery. There was a guy that I used to work beside who I think he used to be a DJ and he had this massive record collection. And when it came to like your record player, your hi-fi and your sound system and that, like you would just like, I would probably just go down to Argos or whatever and just buy like the hi-fi. But he was saying, it needs to be this, it needs to be that. Like you need to have like the right needle, you need to have the right turntable, and you're like, and I think if you were to then get like, if you were to have like the proper setup and you were to have the headphones, and you just sit and I think that's when vinyl has the richer sound that people talk about. But for Joe Schmo, like you and I, chuck the CD on, it'll be fine.
I think it's experts like that. They get on my fucking tits. They've just read that in fucking NME or something, and they just regurgitated it. That's what
possibly.
That's what I think if folk like or fucking which hi-fi magazine, like, and I'm not criticising your mate or whoever it was you said, but like that's that type of person. And I've got mates like that. That fucking Joe Wiley said so it must be fucking good. You know what I mean? Nah, Joe Wiley's a cunt, mate. That's my opinion.
Neil Renton says, in keeping with the topic of a bear, that I'm sure popped up on a recent episode. Bear swans, was it swan? How many swans could batter a bear?
Yeah.
Right. What's the strangest manner in which you've been threatened? The reason I say that is I've been threatened with not one but 2 grizzly bears, 2 separate occasions as well.
Is he?
That's what he says. That's what he says.
He's a slaver.
Ken Neil. Ken Neil, what you're...
You never care if he's telling the truth.
Is it actual factual or not? I mean, I've seen
his daily
record, aye. So
yeah.
maybe it has. And maybe the Bears are Rangers fans at his references. Maybe being a bit of wordplay here.
I can't remember whether it was Ibrox or Celtic Park we were coming away from, but there was a young laddie that was less than 10, and one of my mates will vouch for this. There was a wee laddie that was threatening folk on the bus with a hatchet.
Yeah.
That was weird. I'll tell you about the time in Belgium with the fish. Like there was a guy threw a fish at us. That's probably big fish as well.
That is really weird.
Aye.
Like, how did he throw it? Like, was it underhand, overhand, by the tail?
By the tail, like over,
like a tomahawk.
So it's head over.
Aye,
head over tail.
Exactly. It's somersaulted.
Yeah.
But it's mouth going. Lionfish. Never hit anybody. And I always thought it was a bit stupid because as soon as he'd done that, he came what was coming next. He was just going to get launched back at him. That's a stupid thing to do. At best, he was going to lose a fish. We would have just picked up and taken it with us. But at worst, it was getting thrown back at him, which is what happened.
See, if you were to punch someone that was less than 10 years old who was threatening you with a hatchet, would you be judged for it?
Yeah.
Because you just what the correct thing to do there, John, is you just put your hand on their head. Kind of arms length. That's it, and then you just wait till they exhaust themselves. It takes about the kind of back of 9 minutes of bedtime, and then that's to fall asleep. Yeah, actually, you get there earlier if you tell them a story while you're hunting them, and then that's it. So you don't need to punch them; you just do that. If that answers your question.
It does. I'll dig out bedtime stories.
Like Ali done that time to Foreman, eh?
Rope-a-dope.
Check it. I think he coined that phrase while he was doing it. He says, by the way, what I'm doing here is rope-a-dope. And then he's going, am I a dope? Oh, fuck's sake. And I got so annoyed, and then he went, again, made him angry.
I think he probably thought about it before that. I think in the heat of the moment, the adrenaline and all that, he wouldn't have had clarity. He thought like that. I reckon before it, he thought, I'm going to sit on the ropes for this fucking dope, right? And I went, oh, wait a minute. Or maybe when he was doing it, it's like, oh, rope-a-dope. Aye, yes. Like that.
Do you ever have those thoughts, though, that you want to remember? You're like, that's really clever. That's really, I'm going to start a business with that. I need to remember that. I need to not forget that thought. And then you do. You always do.
Of course you do, yeah. Yeah, boxers talk to each other, right? And if they do, because they've got the mouth guards and that, do they understand each other? Because bear in mind that they're fucking battered as well, like that. Do the other person go because they're also a bit battered? I kind of like he's saying there.
I think that absolutely.
Aye, well, what was it like when you were playing rugby, Colin? Like, I don't think the mouth guard really restricts the movement of the mouth and the sound. It's just like certain words where your tongue catches.
Aye, that's right. Yeah.
And is it the same mouth guard that they use for boxing?
No, I was going to say I think this might be a bit bigger, but I don't know. I don't know if it is because it's. I think it's really there. So what is a mouth guard for? It's not just to protect your teeth. I think there's like a bit of.
Is it like a concussive or anti-concussive?
Aye. There's more than one reason for it. Like obviously it protects your mouth, right?
Yeah.
Because it can see your face, guards your mouth, yes, and your teeth. Top teeth, no, the bottom teeth. Because I've had bottom teeth chipped before, despite being a mouth guard. But I think there's a thing there about concussion and that too. And I don't know if it's something to do with swallowing the tongue as well. I don't know if it's possible.
Oh, do you know, because you didn't actually swallow your tongue, do you? It just sort of like rests against, like, if you were to tip backwards. So I wonder if it maybe stops the tongue, like, forming like a connection.
It makes it less likely, maybe. Yeah.
If there's any boxing fans or boxers out there, can text in and let us know.
My next question, and right, so you're in the middle of a boxing match, right? with your opponent and you decide you're going to be a talker, do you call them names in that to get them wound up, or
that's what they do? They do that.
Or I'm asking you what you would do, right? Would you do that,
okay.
or would you say nice things to them and try to confuse them? Kind of like, oh, you smell lovely. You know, a bit to like fucking hit you. Go like you done your hair.
Even though you're really sweaty,
Aye,
you smell nice.
I quite like it when you hit me.
Let me up here this time.
What you did later. See I would take that approach. I think you're more likely to win the fight if you're no making them angry. Like if you,
I bet it depends on the nature of the person. Because I've listened to that George Groves talking recently. Remember fought Kyle Froch? Remember they had the whole thing, and he went after Froch, calling him out, and like they didn't like each other. Like they get on now, they present the TV together, but they didn't get on then. And he deliberately went for him because it would put him off his game because this person hates this person that much. So it's like he's got to then lose his discipline because he's like, I'm just going to punch this cunt in, and that's not his game. You know, he's boxing it rather than fighting.
But maybe would have thrown him more off his game if he just turned me had a nice arse.
No, possibly. But I think he would like that. He loves his silly, so he'd be
I suppose.
You're fucking right. You're right. And he'd still be getting him.
But I think he'd hit him as hard. He'd be, I tell you what, hit him now. I like him.
Aye.
Yeah,
that's a funny one, eh?
We could be pals. What about I'm a pal?
It's weird though, eh?
What would you do, John?
You've got to go and fight your pals. Kind of if they get on with each other. Sorry, putting in there, but you've got to. You're almost like, how do you get yourself up for it? Like, I would get myself up for it, and I'm not letting him fucking beat me. But I wouldn't want to hurt you. I would want to beat you.
Aye.
But I wouldn't want to like do you damage. But I want to make sure that you knew I'd fucking won. You know what I mean? Because
aye. Effectively, boxers is giving somebody brain. Like if you want to knock them out, it's damaging their brain. Like it's
the aim of the game.
So how would you get yourself up to your mate brain damage? Again, right, John, what would you do? Would you take the talk nasty or talk nice approach, or something else?
Because I think what we're talking about is really like a bit of reverse psychology, and there's probably levels to it. So I quite liked what Colin said about like, even though you're really sweaty, like you still smell lovely. And I was thinking like the boxers wear like aftershave to the ring or that, like because like our view of boxing is largely sanitized because it's like through the medium of TV. But I wonder like what do they actually smell like? Like would you like if you were a boxer to try and put off your opponent, would you go in smelling fucking awful like you hadn't showered for the last 3 days?
Yeah, I think they end up smelling like that. They'd probably smell all right to start off with because they would be. It's just at the start of the fight, eh?
Like I wonder if they go into the ring smelling like deep heat and liniment and fucking smelling salts.
Well, it's like normal changing rooms.
Aye.
A normal changing room smell. You ever been to the boxing?
Did you watch Minder? I don't think I've ever been to the boxing. No,
never been.
No, I've done two or three times. It's quite a good day out, like, but we had cracking seats for Alex Harper against Gomez at Meadowbank, like cracking seats, so you can see us on the telly, and that was pretty good. But it's vicious when you're up front, up close to it like that.
It must be. I wonder if it's. Well, you can tell me, like, is it, or how intimidating is it when you're watching guys, like Matty says, like try and brain damage each other?
I wasn't that intimidated, but I know what you mean. It's more the noise in that you didn't really pick up for the TV. I think the actual.
The reason I ask is, and I know it's a weird comparison, but I used to play a lot of like Call of Duty when I was younger, and when I had the opportunity to go on a stag do and fire a real AK-47 in Prague, I was like, fucking yes, I can't wait for this. And I think I was maybe like third or fourth to have a go, but I swear, as soon as that first shot went off, we were under this motorway in Prague, and I don't know whether it was like the sound of it, I don't know whether it's because I was nursing a hangover, like echoing off the walls, all that sort of stuff. But as soon as that first shot went off like a cannon, my arse collapsed. And I wonder, like, because we all, like I was saying before, like, the sort of sanitize you boxing, you watch people like throwing punches and like knockouts, like, fucking yes, that's amazing. But to witness that, to see that up close and in person, I wondered is that quite off-putting?
Didn't they put me off? I went back. I went 2 further times.
I wanted more.
But I enjoyed it the first time that much that it never really lived up to it again. You know what I mean? The atmosphere and that was that. It was more the atmosphere in the place and the sort of size of the fight and all that. Then I went again to Meadowbank again. It wasn't the same. And then I went to one at Ingolston.
Was there ever any fighting in the crowd? Because that seems to be quite a common thing when you see it. On
there was, because it was boys up for the first fight I mentioned. There was folk from Manchester up, so I missed all of it. I think there was bits out in the street and that. We went up the town, we were up to Three Sisters or something after it, and I can't remember seeing any fights. But apparently there was a bit battling in the street and that, and there was definitely an atmosphere in the place because it was like so heavy weighted to Alex Arthur that the wee group of Mancunians were just, it was really, I mean, even if you ever see it back, because it sometimes gets shown back on the greatest fights of the decade, or now it'll be the greatest fights of the 2000s and all that. The atmosphere, the commentators are going, I've never been in an atmosphere like this. It was fucking unbelievable. The atmosphere, he got caught up in it. That's how he got put on his arse. He tried to fight him rather than box him.
Right, I think we've got time for one more question. I forgot to set the timer, so I think we've overrun, or if we're short.
Probably. What do you think about? There was a thing in the group chat the other day about folk going in the Bairns queue for food at the on holiday at the all inclusive. What's your thoughts on that? I've got that to look forward to in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, that is for Bairns.
Aye. Why do you think somebody would do that? Because there must be chips in that on offer, in the adult one, and they're standing in the queue for, was it Happy Faces? That's the Tatty. That's the Tatty thing in the street.
I wonder if the queue was shorter, and they just went, "Fuck that!" I'll just.
They said there was a big queue, and this is a queue in front of Bairns, so there must have been a queue there as well. Whether there was a queue for chips too. But
I suppose it depends what the queue's like for the adults one, and they probably could skip ahead and the kids one with less objections. Because the kids are looking and saying, "As a grown up, doing it."
Pushing the Bairn at the road.
Aye. I don't know. I think Kevin would go through your head that you would think that would be, unless you were collecting for your own Bairn. Like, if your own Bairn wasn't able to kind of come up and get it, that would seem reasonable.
But
no, for yourself.
We never used to let the Bairns were we never used to let them go themselves either, because Bairns in a fucking restaurant like that are a pain in the arse. You just get in everybody's road, knock things over. They get in the way, so we would take them and get their dinner, sit them down, and then we'd go and get our dinner.
Aye.
So unless it's that, maybe just he's intolerant. Maybe the guy that asked the question.
I can't believe that. Right, Jake Gapp, our last question of the night, and apologies if we didn't get to your question. There are a few other ones that are in some fucking good ones as well. We've actually, there's probably been another 4 episodes worth of fucking really good questions here, which we will get to at some point. Right, You Bet is the category. Remember You Bet?
It rings a bell.
Was Jeremy Beadle was in that?
Oh,
Matthew Kelly. What was it? Oh, was it only a Game for a Laugh? Had Beadle one as well, didn't it? But Matthew Kelly was in that one. Right, You Bet. If the classic game show presented by Matthew Kelly was brought back, what meaningless talent would you exhibit to have the Z list celebrities bet on?
That's right. So that's what they used to do. They would have like a random come on and say, "I'm brilliant at memorising."
Number plates was one, or it was number plates. Rear lights on cars. I remember watching that one time. You could identify for brake lights what model, make and model a car it was.
So
Jesus.
What I would do, just for the pure boredom, and it's because I've just remembered a guy that I've got on LinkedIn. I met him once at a conference thing. He's got he was a world record holder at remembering stuff. But the main thing he was a world record holder for was how many digits after pi.
Aye.
No, it's 3.14. Everybody say pi, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. It's 3.14 fucking infinity. It goes on forever. And he'd done like fucking however many 100 numbers after the 3.14. So I would get him a bet on how many he could do. Or is it higher or lower than? Or is it? I can't remember how it used to work exactly.
I can't remind.
I'd go that one anyway. That's boring enough.
That would be one of the shows.
Joey Essex taking a guess at that. That's what I'm saying.
this would be one of the shows that my dad would have went and turned that shite off. I think we could collectively go and say, like, number of lies we can call bullshit on. Do you know, like, for folks saying I've shagged 10,000 women?
Mm.
Like, just get folk to come in and give the claims is almost like would I lie to you, but an abridged version where they would come on and we would just kind of very quickly go, bullshit, next, bullshit, next. And that.
I like
Could
that.
do 10 in a row, 10 bullshits in a row.
10 bullshits in a row.
I'm watching a programme now, actually, on it's a Sky one, but it's been on. It's called Poker Face, and it's effectively that. It's a woman who knows if somebody's lying just by watching them talking. Like, it's not Lie to Me, which is I think Tim Roth done years ago.
Aye.
But she could, so and it's a different style. She doesn't work for the police or nothing. She just pulls bullshit at folk all the time. That
Tim Roth one, I think I tried to watch that once. I very quickly went, this is going to be shite, because you can all the time he's going to go, he's lying. That's it. That's his thing.
That was Jimmy Neal. You're thinking of Jimmy Neal.
I know she's lying. That was but I was like, this show's going to be fucking boring because he's not going to get caught out. He's still going to, like, they're just going to fool him all the time. He's going to be like, fucking, that's lying. John, what are you going on you bet with?
I honestly can't think of any meaningless talents. I probably just know random shit for no reason, but you need context. You need to be set up for that to go, oh, did you know? Or have you heard?
How long an episode of Short Bangers do you think we could record without stopping?
Easy an hour and a half. Easy.
I would cruise through an hour and a half.
I reckon we could do a feature-length film.
Mm.
I think
I was just wondering if you could do a bet on that. Like, look at these three Africans. How long do you think they could do their podcast in a row?
We did 2 live shows in it, which were all the way stopped for a break, but they were again 3 hours or something like that we did. I can't mind. Anyway,
fucking hell.
It was a long time.
But it could be like one of the 24
It flew in. If you were there, it flew in. It felt like fucking no time at all.
That's right. But mind that you used to get is it no radio shows that have done like 24 hours before in a row, like the non-stop
for charity or something?
We could do like something like that. Do you think we would bound to have a lovely? We would need to be on the bevy in that. So we need to be sitting.
Aye. Anyway, right, before we hit 24 hours, we're out of time. Yeah. So thanks very much for listening, folks. Go and subscribe. You just hit our Twitter account, click on the link, and you can sign up for a couple of quid. Right, thanks for sending your questions. We will see you next time.
Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee. I don't drink water, no